What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Frank from, you know the name that I hate. Just another talking head. You can't see my eyes, but I'm rolling them right now. So, special day in Canada today. Today is the general election. Today is the day Justin Trudeau gets a minority government because potheads care nothing except pot. I think that's why. And virtue signalers and the woke. I'm going to vote right now. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like my vote's not going to matter, but you got to do it anyway. It's your duty. Talked to a couple friends, they're like, I'm not voting. I know somebody that went to vote and marked down that he's not voting. When that happens, it's usually because people don't like the candidates. But see, one thing you have to remember about Canada is we don't vote for Trudeau or Andrew Scheer or any of the other people running for prime minister. We vote for our local MP. Now, whoever wins the most seats in Parliament, well, then they win the election. But they can win even if it's a minority, just like in Europe. Only you don't really see coalition governments here, and thank God for that. So I think that Trudeau will win a minority government, and if he doesn't, I'll be very surprised and very mad. Because running up to this election, there was only one guy talking about policy, maybe two. And surprise, surprise, they were both the conservatives. You had Andrew Scheer talking about policy for some of it, and you had Maxime Bernier talking about policy. Now, Maxime Bernier is the man I'm voting for. Now, I know he's not going to win, but I want to give my support to the man because it's a new party, and we need him to feel as though it's worth continuing the fight. Now, he's the type of guy that actually does love this country. He doesn't speak down to us like our current prime minister. He doesn't try to make us feel as though we are racist, bigots, sexists, homophobes, etc. And he's against mass migration. Trudeau wants to bring in 350,000 immigrants a year. That's 10% of our population every year. Can you see my eyebrows being raised? That's insane. Years ago, we brought in people from Kosovo. I think there was about 5,000. Our economy could barely handle it. And this motherfucker wants to bring in 350,000 immigrants every year. All the while destroying our economy, because our economy is fucked. People are divided here. And a lot of the policies of these so-called candidates are based on climate change. Even though the science isn't settled. Now, they keep saying the science is settled, we need to do something about it. Let me tell you something. Science isn't settled, okay? Science isn't about consensus. Science is about fact. And there's also what you call the replication crisis. Now, you don't hear much about this, but scientists that are willing to speak the truth, they do. They do. And essentially, nearly 50% of all experiments research, whatever you have, what have you, when done by another scientist following the exact same route that the previous scientists took, nearly 50% of the time, it doesn't work out the same. So, knowing that we have this replication crisis, how exactly can we trust that the world is going to end in 12 years, right? And we all know, I mean, the smart ones know, that, this whole global warming thing is just a way to give complete control to the government. Because that's what it calls for, right? On top of it, it's going to bleed us dry. Look at the people in France. Look at the yellow vests. A lot of that's because they put taxes on gas, and they figured, hey, if we put taxes on gas, then that means people are going to use less gas. No! As Stone Cold used to say. People still need the gas, right? You still need to get places. So you're going to buy the same amount of gas, only now it's going to be more money. And that's what's happening here with the carbon tax. Aside from the fact that CO2 is plant food, it's not killing us. There's no correlation between heat and CO2 in the atmosphere. You can go back fucking 500 million years. During the Cambrian explosion, there was over 2,000 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. And that was during the biggest burst of life, I should say explosion of life, in the history of the world. Now, I'm not a scientist, obviously. I mean, I'm too good looking to be one. And, I'll tell you, if I could do it all over again, I would be, though. Now, obviously, plants need CO2. That's why greenhouses pump in anywhere from 800 to 1,200 parts per million of CO2 in the greenhouse to make shit grow, right? Now, if the CO2 gets down to 150 million parts, or 150 parts per million, then we're actually at a crisis where plants and trees start to die. And when that happens, we start to die. So now there's just over 400 million parts, or 400 parts per million in the atmosphere. And what it's causing is the largest increase in greenery in the world in the last 35 years. That's a good thing. And that's from NASA, by the way. People that have been fighting for climate change for years now. Now, sorry to go on a tangent about this, but again, how does plant food kill us? And by the way, us spewing all that CO2 in the atmosphere, we actually saved us, because we were down to 180 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. And that's what you call a danger level. And because of the Industrial Revolution and everything we are doing, we are saving ourselves. So it's very likely that the climate changing, which has always happened, right? You had climate change in the Middle Ages. You had the mini ice age. You had the warming. It just keeps happening. But there's more correlation to the cycle of the sun. Sometimes the sun sleeps, sometimes it doesn't. There's more correlation between the heat and the sun than there is between CO2 and heat. Sorry for that tangent. I went on that tangent because this is what most of the candidates are basing their platform on, trying to get your votes for. Right? They even brought Greta in to do it. It's stupid. It's foolish. Especially for Canadians. Because as I said before, 1.6% of global emissions is from us. 1.6%. We're nowhere near the top of the food chain when it comes to pollution in the water, right? You know, plastics in the water, shit like that. No one seems to talk about that. That doesn't seem to be a fucking issue for people. But the only man not talking about, he pointed out, why do we need to save the world? We have 1.6% of global emissions. That's stupid. Maxime Bernier, he pointed that out. He wants to cut the immigration quota down by at least half. He has plans to fix the economy, but the media has painted him as a racist, and he's actually never said anything racist. And the other candidates were so fucking afraid of him that they didn't even want him on the debate stage. And now they would say, because you speak hate. No. It's because you can't challenge his ideas. Now, unfortunately, he didn't get enough time. But I will say this, after the English debates, his party was the most Googled in Canada. So that's a good thing. So maybe he might do better, win a few seats. Hopefully he wins his riding, because Parliament really needs him in there. He really needs to be a voice. And if there's if there's a minority, that gives him a great chance to really spread his message. So, Election Day. I'm voting Bernier. Before I go, I will tell you the problem with Canadian politics. When it comes to voting, it's very rare that you vote for the person you want. You vote against the person you don't want. Right? So, if you think the Conservatives are going to win, and you hate Justin Trudeau, let me rephrase. If you think the Conservatives have the best chance at beating Trudeau, even though you don't want to vote Conservative, you will, just to beat Trudeau, and vice versa. That's the problem with Canadian politics. I know this because a lot of people tell me this. I don't have a study to prove it, but, anecdotal evidence has proven it for me. So, anyway, it's your boy Frank. I guess we can call this the Canadian national election special, where, again, I'm pissed off. I'm always pissed off. Not in general life, just at politics and the left and just how fucking crazy they are. So I hope everyone has a good day. Friends in America, I say this to you always, thank God. You should thank God that you have the man you have in power, and in 2020 do the right thing. To my Canadian brethren, are we even allowed to say that in 2019? Jesus Christ. But to my Canadian brethren, and I'll never stop saying it, I don't care how many fucking word laws you put in Canada, go fuck yourself. To my Canadian brethren, do the right thing. Do the right thing. God damn it, do the right thing. And vote People Party of Canada. Alright, I'm out. Peace. I'll talk to you later. Maybe I'll make a video tomorrow. I might be crying because Trudeau may still be Prime Minister. Bye!